Hello, Rabbi Friedman. Thank God it's Tuesday. Thank you so much for this time that you allocate for us. I briefly explained to our audience that I spent the last week talking to people of different age groups, different demographic groups, different levels of observance, and was asking the same question. Have they become more observant? Do they have, after everything that has happened to us, do they feel more drive to become more observant? I was saying more Jewish, like you taught us, being more Jewish, doing more Jewish things, and I got a lot of different answers. And I got to say that those people who, everybody wants to. There's nobody that does not want to. Okay, everybody wants to unite. Everybody wants to do good things. Everybody wants to get closer. Yes, there's a lot of questions of how can things like this keep on happening to the chosen people, to people that are supposed to be protected more than other people. There's, of course, a lot of questions about that. But the biggest obstacle that I found amongst the Russian-speaking community of all ages is that it's not a culture that we come from. Communism did its job, and people just simply don't have the knowledge right now, don't have the time. It's a difficult religion. There's a lot to know. No one has time to learn. And even if they do, they don't know where to start, how to go about it. But one thing for sure is everybody wants to be good and everybody wants to do the right thing. So, Rabbi Friedman, we're counting on you to give us the best advice possible to our community of, how we should be at a time like this. What can we do? Where should we start? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Doing what we're supposed to be doing. Those are big words. It assumes that there is something that we're supposed to be doing. Wow, that's scary. No. It works something like this. I just spoke about it last night on Long Island. We're absolutely certain that Mashiach is around the corner. But we can't be childish about it. And we can't be juvenile. Somebody is going to come, a big hero, and he's going to save us and make everything good. In order for Mashiach to come and teach the world has to be ready. There are these great movies about special teachers who went into very difficult schools where the students were wild and violent and unmotivated. And they turned the school around, and all the students got to respect the teacher and love the teacher and so on. Great movies. But that has been our history. We are the teachers, and the world is a classroom out of control. Or a school out of control. Many classes. Many classrooms. So, the pity, of course, at the beginning of the movie, you have a lot of pity for the teacher. It seems like an impossible task. The teacher is the one who suffers, the teacher one who is rejected, embarrassed, insulted, even attacked. Does that sound like our history? We have been very patient for 3,000 years. 2,000 bad years. Waiting for the school to fall into place. The students get into their seats, and be ready to learn. That's what we need to accomplish. Once all the students are in their seats, Mashiach will come and be the teacher. But we have to get the world to the point where the students know their students, they know who the teacher is, and they're interested and willing to listen. How is that going to happen? Miraculously? All of a sudden? Something has to shift, something natural. And I've been saying this for many years. What is happening, shifting right in front of our eyes? Until very recently, human beings were needy. We need money, we need food, we need water, we need space, we need security, we need support, we need warmth, we need cooling off, we need endless needs. And of course, we need health. And we are so helpless, and we are so fragile, and we are so weak that we have to be begging God constantly, or begging the government, or begging the doctors, or we're so dependent on somebody, something. We're even so desperate we'll pray to the sun, to the moon, to a statue, anything. Why? Because we're so needy. Something changed. All of a sudden, people are not needy. In some ways, it's healthy. In some ways, it's crazy. People out in the streets chanting, "Free Palestine." These people have no idea what Palestine is. They know where it is. They don't know what's going on. And they have issues in their lives that they're not attending to. So in this case, they are needy, and they're distracted, and they're busy with things that they don't need. It's not their issue. It's not their problem. They're not going to have any effect. It's nothing. But here's the good news. We didn't ask to be born. Even children now are realizing, I have jobs and obligations and responsibilities. Why? I didn't ask to be born. Meaning, I don't need to be born. I don't need this. If I don't need to be born, how is it that I need to pay bills? If I don't need to be here, why is it that I'm responsible for cleaning this place up? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What is shifting is we are transitioning, sorry to use that word, we're transitioning from needy to needed. Look at what happened. The day before October 7th and the day after October 7th. This will go down in history as a radical change in Israeli society and in the Jewish world and in the world in general. But let's understand what happened before it gets twisted by historians. What happened was this. There were protests raging all over Israel and in the whole world. Everyone was busy voicing their need. And different people have different needs. So it was tearing us apart. We need the government to be this kind of government. The Supreme Court should be this kind of Supreme Court. Then October 7th happened. And all of a sudden, literally overnight, nobody is interested in their own needs. Everyone desperately wants to be needed, to feel needed, to do something that is needed. So, have we become better? Well, what is better? What's good? Good means I forget my needs and I figure out who needs me. That is the essence of goodness. And this has taken the world. I mean, even those protesting pro-Hamas, what are they doing? They've got their own problems. But they're marching for hours, screaming at the top of their lungs. What are they doing? What are they doing? What they're doing is wrong. What they're doing is immoral. What they're doing is misguided. But what do they think they're doing? They're doing something that is needed of them. That's the passion of the world today. Let me do something that is needed. I'll send money to Israel. They don't need money. Well, I'm sending it anyway. I need to know that I'm doing something that is needed. I'll send toys. I'll send religious articles. I'll send tzitzis. We all want to be needed. We feel needed. We're just not sure exactly what. So the hundreds of thousands of Jews who are going to Washington, what are they going to gain from this? How will this help their needs? It's not about their needs. It's about being needed. Once this settles in, once people calm down and realize what they're doing, it's not a panic, it's not an emergency. It is the truth that has always been true, but we were too blind to see it. We would much rather do what is needed of us than to take care of our own needs, because our own needs are not real. This is a perfect preparation for Mashiach. Once I'm in the mood and I say, never mind me, what needs to happen? Well, who are you going to ask? Who are you going to ask? Hamas? What needs to happen? It's a huge question. It's a very good question. It's the ultimate question. And of course, the answer to that is the ultimate answer. So when everything has failed, everything, every form of government, every form of religiosity, it has all failed. Higher education has failed. There's a desperation. And I really feel bad. I do. For all the people who were so misguided. For Jews who demanded that Israel should give away half the country. To whom? To whom? Now they realize how wrong, how dangerous their position was, how anti-Semitic it was, how they sound exactly like the enemies of the state. How do you make up for this? How do you do tshuva for this? It's a terrible pity. I mean, to have to admit such a mistake, and not a momentary mistake, years and years of propaganda against Israel, really believing that the people in the region want to make peace without first being defeated. What a mistake. How embarrassing. But we'll have to get over it. Everyone has to do their tshuva. The religious have to do their repentance, their tshuva, for having been so indifferent to those they call secular. And the secular have to do tshuva for undermining their own well-being, their own safety, their own future. Boy, we have to clean up our act. But the good news is we don't care about our own needs. We want to do what is needed. And now all we need is a good teacher who will show us what is needed, why it's needed, who needs it. Nothing less than the creator of the world himself. And how do you do it? So the world should sit down quietly, get into your seats like good students, and we will forgive all the damage you've done, all the nastiness, all the vulgar things you've said about the teacher. We'll forget it all, wipe the slate clean, and say, if you're willing to learn, we are your teacher, and we will teach.
Rabbi Friedman, now the most important question is to answer all of those questions. I mean, right now we're thrilled to be needed, and that's great, but we need to direct it to we need to have the right direction, because otherwise it's going to be a pro-Palestine kind of situation. So
well, we're going to trip over each other, exactly. Trying to be helpful.
So exactly, how do we now make order out of this new revelation? And by the way, thank you so much. I'm completely blown away because, I'm your biggest follower, and this concept that we're not here, your message to the world that you've been giving for so many years, that we're not needy, we're needed. And now it comes to this full cycle where it's apparent, it's in everybody's face, and it's amazing. So the big question is right now how to properly direct this revelation, everybody's revelation, that we're not here for ourselves.
So, I mean, the short answer, of course, is to start following God's instructions and do what He asked us to do, and what He is waiting for us to do, patiently or maybe impatiently. But that needs to be fleshed out, that needs to be explained, and so on. I want to tell you something amazing. We have these Zoom meetings.
Yes, I'm a part of.
Yes, and there are a lot of non-Jews. So if you remember, there was one evening that this one guy just made everybody so emotional. He's from New Guinea, right? And he listens to the Zoom once a week, and then he shares what he learned with his with his fellow villagers. And he told us online that to get to where he can have internet connection, he has to walk 8 hours from his village, then walk back 8 hours. And he does this because he wants to know the truth and he wants to share it with his... We now found out, so what happened, all the people on the call were so moved by this dedication, they said, we will buy you a bicycle. We'll send you a bicycle so that you can make the trip more easily. And he said, no, the roads that he has to travel cannot be navigated by a bicycle. This is New Guinea, the jungles of New Guinea. So now we find out this man and his wife are building a center called It's Good to Know Learning Center.
Wow.
For the natives, they're going to be the teachers, and they're going to share the messages that they heard. How do they speak English? The missionaries who came to the jungles, risking their lives, and taught them English. They also taught them Christianity. But they're not content with Christianity for this very reason. They don't want to be served. They want to do the serving. They don't want God's help. They want to help God fulfill the purpose for which He created the world. In the furthest reaches, this phenomenon is happening to everybody. They've got plenty of things they could ask for. Okay, the bicycle won't work, but there are probably other things that they need. Not interested. They want to know what they are needed for. So the answer, of course, is Torah is the blueprint of creation. In Torah, God makes Himself known, makes His purpose known, and makes the method by which the purpose is achieved known. So for non-Jews, it's all the commandments between man and man. It's the 7 Noahide laws. For Jews, it's 613 commandments. Quite a selection. You start with one mitzvah, and you pick the one that is most easily applied to your life, and we start fulfilling the purpose for which we exist. Men put on tefillin like the soldiers in Israel, begging, demanding, send us tefillin. Tzitzis, it's the rage. There aren't enough tzitzis in the world for all the soldiers who want to wear them. All the scribes are busy day and night producing more mezuzah to put on the doors and more tefillin for the soldiers and for everybody else. And here's the beautiful thing. I was really inspired and encouraged. There's an Israeli television show, talk show. And there are 3 or 4 anchors. It's partly news, it's partly conversation. The main guy, who is obviously not religious at all, is marveling, pleased to announce that the soldiers have gone observant. They're all talking about God and having little songs about God and prayers to God and thanking God and relying on God. And they're wearing their tzitzis and they want tefillin. And surprisingly, he says, that's awesome. The other guy says, that's true. Some of my friends surprised me because they're becoming religious. And the first guy said, and this is dynamite, the first guy said, Zelo dati. They're not becoming religious. They're putting on tefillin. They're not becoming, they're just being Jewish. Don't turn it into a religious revival or to a religious fad. They're not becoming religious. Jews are being Jewish. That's so real. It's not religiosity. It's doing what is needed of us.
Rabbi Friedman, we have journalists from our radio who are some observant, some are secular, and apparently the word secular is not a good one, as I just learned recently. Just let you know. But we all know what we're talking about. And everybody we speak to who's in Israel is definitely very excited about the atmosphere in Israel, finally, that it's an atmosphere full of kindness and unity and positivity and hope. And yes, definitely closeness to God, to each other and to God. And they're all so excited about it. However, even though it is spilling overboard to the rest of the diaspora, but not the same, because we're still removed. We're not a part of the Holy Land. We're still in our world. Like I can only speak for America, since this is where we're at. And the Jews that I speak to here about this topic, no question about it, unity, more proactive, more mitzvahs, more prayers, more thrive to connect. However, the lifestyle is still the lifestyle, and we're not feeling it as much, and we're diluted with all other things. And some of my conversations have actually turned into 3-hour lectures because I was asked a lot of questions during. So it seems like everybody wants to, but no one knows where even to start. I mean, you can't Google your way into Torah. You can't research it like you can research other things. There's a definitely different process. We've talked about it many times. You can't really market it properly. You gotta just kind of like dive into it, learn it. But everybody, I mean, where is that starting point for people who want to know, who want to connect more, where they're doing some things, they are, but how do they dive in? Like everybody in Israel dove in. How do we dive in the diaspora?
Well, let's see what happens at this rally. It's going to be pretty impressive. The world should pay attention and learn a lesson. But let me mention another interesting thing. There are countries, political philosophies who have global aspirations. Communism wanted to take over the world, nothing less. Some people say that democracies, America also wants to take over the world with democracy. When the first Chabad Rebbe in the late 1700s, early 1800s, was arrested by the Tsar, what was he accused of? Of trying to become the king of Israel and take over the world. You know what Israel was back then?
Not much.
A bunch of Bedouins, right? But there was some truth to it. Look at something that happened recently. All these demonstrations in every country, in every state in the United States, who's organizing this?
Well, we know who organizes our side, but we don't know who organizes the other side, for sure.
Everywhere in the world? Every country is pro-Palestinian? No. It's Palestinians. It's Muslims. It's radical Muslims who are everywhere in the world, and it's a plan. It's intentional. They want to take over the world, which of course they say clearly, and they want to enforce Sharia law everywhere in the world, and they placed people everywhere in the world in order to make that happen. While they were doing that, the Lubavitcher Rebbe was doing the same thing. Placing Chabad houses everywhere so that there's a balance, a counter offensive. People who want to know what they're needed for and what is needed of them, go to a Chabad house. Don't try to guess. Don't start researching like you have to invent the wheel all over again. Go to a Chabad house, call a Chabad house, go online to a Chabad teacher or class and find out. And the main thing is to do it. When you have your own needs, you can take care of it today or you can take care of it tomorrow. Mañana. But if somebody needs something of you, there's no delaying. It's not nice. Somebody needs and you make them wait. So if God needs something from us, it's not something we can put off for tomorrow. So we don't want to just read about it, think about it, philosophize. We're needed. So we got to do it. So call a Chabad, go over to the Chabad, get a mezuzah for the door, big mezuzah, visible mezuzah. You're much safer with it than without it, without a doubt. And it's what you really need it for. The world needs it. The Jewish people need it. The Creator of the world needs it.
Rabbi Friedman, but there is a doubt. And everybody I spoke to, even though everybody leans more on the right side, on the believer side, but there's still a lot of doubt. And there's still a lot of... people are scared. People are scared of anti-Semitism because it is around. We see it. We want to protect our families from it. We're still in this world, even though we're transitioning, thank God. But we're still in this world, and we still have to provide. We still have to go to work, and we still have to do things, and we still have to pay attention to our families first. And the time is always a big problem for everybody, especially in America, where there's never enough time for anything because we're too busy for everything. So, I mean, this is one of the challenges that people have expressed, most of the people have expressed that I have spoken to. What would be the advice for them?
No, I think it's primarily not knowing where to turn. If I have to start doing research, if I have to start learning Hebrew, I don't have time for this. But you don't. So it's really, everybody is willing, everybody has the ability and has the time. But if you don't know where to start, it's a little discouraging, crippling actually. Right? So I think that after this conversation, there will be no more doubts. Another story, there was a kindergarten, and all the students were told to draw something, paint something. And there was this one little girl who was very intense and very focused, and the teacher went over to see what was going on. And she asked the little girl, a 6-year-old, "What are you drawing?" She said, "A picture of God." So the teacher said, "But nobody knows what God looks like." So the little girl said, "They will in a minute." That's why I'm making you a picture, because you don't know what he looks like. So now that we've had this conversation, now everybody knows. We've cleared away all the doubts now.
Now there's going to be a lot more conversations. Yeah.
It's good conversation.
It's
good conversation.
Yeah. And I was happy about the topic of this program because it opened up a lot of conversations for a lot of people. And just to think about it, just to contemplate, I think it's very healthy and good. But
isn't it interesting? We're at war. Russia and Ukraine is at war. Other wars are going on that we never even hear about. But what really is the mother of all wars?
Good versus evil.
Yes. Exactly that. So people say, well, why does there have to be war? And it's been around for a long time. How long? Since Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and brought war into the world. How did they do that? By engaging in a battle between good and evil. We don't realize when we say things that are so beautiful and so peaceful and so moral, like tikkun olam. You realize what tikkun olam means? It means you're declaring war. You're going to fix something? Yeah. You're going to improve, you're going to elevate, well, then you're declaring war. If you're elevating, then you're at war with what is low. If you're purifying, you're at war with what is impure. So everything we do since the beginning of creation has been a war. Does it have to be with bullets? Not really. It certainly doesn't have to be with what we saw on October 7th. That is completely unnecessary. But it shows us that there is still a very serious need for tikkun. Tikkun means fight the proper battles. But you got to fight it in people's brains and people's heads and people's faiths. Not in fields with guns and bombs. And what needs to change in people's heads is exactly this. Don't feel needy. Stop thinking about what you need. It's unhealthy. It's unnatural. It's a distortion of reality. We are not here because of needs. We're here because of one divine need, and that is that evil become good, that darkness become light, and bitterness become sweet. Tikkun. That's what the Creator needs us for. That's what He needs from us. That's what we are excited, inspired, and highly motivated now all over the world. If somebody tries to sell me another product, you're going to try to convince me that there's another need I have that I'm not taking care of because I don't have enough life insurance or I don't have enough of this medicine in my medicine cabinet. Do me a favor. Get real. I don't need. Well, of course you protect your family because that's what God wants. That's what He needs of you, first and foremost. Protect your family, of course. But don't forget that it's His need, not yours. It's a much bigger issue than you thought. It's not every man for himself. Everyone must protect their children because it's a divine instruction. It's what God needs of parents, of society, of civilization. Sure, protect your family. But don't make it a greedy, personal, selfish thing. It's part of what you're needed for. Just asking the question, the way you were doing, it's already a much better world. Stopping a person in the street saying, "Excuse me, are you devoted to your needs or are you busy being needed?" The question alone is a vast improvement. Because the answer is always going to be, I want to be needed. If not today, it's tomorrow. But that's going to be the answer. It's the truth.
Rabbi Friedman, absolutely amazing. It's an absolutely brilliant, so needed to hear everything that you have said today. And I am just amazed how everything we've heard you say over years and years and years, your teachings are just so actualized right now. We can see everything. We're living it. And I think we're living the whole Torah right now. All the teachings are becoming 3D right in front of our eyes. I think as scary as everything is, we're living in an amazing world and during amazing times. And I cannot be more grateful to Hashem for this opportunity to be able to have you heard on the Russian-speaking radio, to the Russians, addressing the Russian-speaking community and giving us your wisdom, the eternal wisdom, and this is absolutely priceless. The most, I truly think if there's a reason for the radio, I think this is it. If there is a purpose to doing what we're doing, I think this is the purpose. Everything else is fun and dandy and great and also very nice for everybody, but I think this is it. And I'm so grateful to you on behalf of our entire community for giving us your time, your wisdom, and your knowledge, and making life livable during really, really tough times.
You know, when the Russians started coming to Israel, the Russian Jews, it was a challenge to be absorbed, to make, to find them jobs, which we didn't do a good job at. But some Israeli official was visiting with the Rebbe, and he said, this is really a difficult challenge. And the Rebbe said, realize these Russians coming will bring idealism back to the country. Idealism is a very natural part of the Russian mentality. Sometimes it's a little off track, going in the wrong direction, but always idealistic. When that idealism is directed in the right direction, it rejuvenated Israel. Certainly in the tech world. So, yeah. Good things start in Russia. Chabad.
Of course. That's the best thing that started.
Right. Yeah.
Rabbi Friedman,
thank you.
Thank you so much. And have a wonderful week. Hopefully we'll get more good news, because this was extremely positive. I hope everybody heard this message loud and clear, and I hope we'll be able to become more and more positive with every week, God willing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let's see what Washington produces.
Yeah. Let's see. Thank you.